Emma Thompson stood on the platform at Union Station in Los Angeles, clutching a worn leather satchel and a one-way ticket to Chicago. It was December 23rd, and the station buzzed with holiday travelers rushing home for Christmas. Snow wasn't common in LA, but the chill in the air felt real enough tonight. She was 28, a graphic designer who had just quit her soul-crushing job in advertising. Her mother had begged her to come home for the holidays after her father's heart scare last month. "Family first, Em," she'd said. So here she was, running away from one life and toward another she wasn't sure she still belonged to. The train was delayed. Of course it was. Emma found a wooden bench near the edge of the platform and pulled out her sketchbook. She started drawing the old station clock, its hands frozen at 9:17, like it had given up on time too. "Mind if I sit?" The voice was warm, with a slight southern drawl that didn't belong in California. She looked up. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with messy dark hair, a navy wool coat, and kind blue eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. A beat-up guitar case rested at his feet. Emma shrugged. "It's a free country." He chuckled and sat, leaving a respectful space between them. "Noah Bennett," he said, offering his hand. "Emma Thompson." They fell into easy conversation, the kind that happens when two strangers know they'll probably never see each other again. Noah was a musician from Nashville, heading to Chicago for a last-minute gig at a small club on Christmas Eve. His flight had been canceled due to a winter storm in the Midwest, so he'd taken the train like her. "Trains are better anyway," he said, leaning back. "You get to see the country instead of clouds." Emma smiled for the first time in weeks. "I'm terrified of flying, so I wouldn't know." They talked as the train finally pulled in, an old Amtrak that looked like it belonged in a movie. They ended up in the same car, seats across the aisle from each other. As the train rolled out of Los Angeles and into the night, the city lights faded behind them. Somewhere in the Arizona desert, the lights dimmed for sleeping. Emma couldn't sleep. She kept stealing glances at Noah, who was quietly strumming his guitar with headphones on, writing something in a battered notebook. At 2 a.m., the train stopped in Flagstaff for a short break. Most passengers stayed inside, but Emma stepped out onto the cold platform for fresh air. Snow had started falling, light, magical flakes that didn't stick. Noah appeared beside her, hands in his coat pockets. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. "Too many thoughts," she admitted. He nodded toward the guitar case he'd brought out with him. "Want to hear something I'm working on?" She said yes before she could overthink it. Noah sat on a bench and played a soft acoustic melody. His voice was low and honest as he sang about chasing dreams and almost losing them. The snow fell around them, and for a moment the empty platform felt like the only place in the world. When he finished, Emma's eyes were misty. "That was beautiful," she whispered. "It's not finished yet," he said, looking at her. "Needs the right ending." They talked until the conductor called them back. Hours passed like minutes as the train climbed through the mountains. They shared terrible train food, swapped playlists, and laughed about their worst dating stories. Noah told her about the record label that dropped him last year. Emma told him about the promotion she turned down because it felt empty. By the time they crossed into Colorado, something had shifted. The conversation grew quieter, more honest. Noah admitted he was scared he'd never write a song that mattered again. Emma confessed she was afraid she'd never feel at home anywhere. In Denver, the train stopped longer because of snow on the tracks. They bundled up and walked through the snowy streets near the station, grabbing hot chocolate from a 24-hour diner. Noah took her hand as they crossed a slippery street. Neither of them let go. Back on the train, the lights were low again. This time, Noah moved to the seat next to hers. "I know this sounds crazy," he said softly, "but I feel like I've known you longer than 24 hours. Emma turned to him, her heart hammering. "I feel it too." He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. Their first kiss tasted like hot chocolate and possibility, gentle and unhurried as the train rocked them through the night. The next morning, Christmas Eve, they woke up tangled in conversation and one shared blanket the porter had given them. Chicago was only a few hours away. Noah looked nervous for the first time. "I have this gig tonight," he said. "Small place in Wicker Park. I'd really like you to be there." Emma bit her lip. Her mom was expecting her at the family house in the suburbs by dinner. But looking at Noah, his hopeful eyes, the way he'd made her laugh through her fears, she made a decision. "I'll be there." The train pulled into Chicago Union Station just after 3 p.m. Snow was falling heavily now, turning the city into a postcard. They exchanged numbers, and Noah kissed her again on the platform, longer this time, like he was afraid she might disappear. "I'll text you the address." That night, Emma stood outside a tiny venue called The Hideout, her mother's disappointed but understanding voice still echoing from their phone call. Inside, the place was packed with people escaping the cold for one night of music and warmth. Noah took the stage at 9 p.m. He looked nervous until his eyes found her in the third row. Then he smiled, the same crinkly-eyed smile from the station. He played a few covers, then tossed. "This next one's new," he said into the mic. "I wrote most of it last night on a train. It still doesn't have an ending, but I think I found it tonight." He started playing the melody she'd heard in Flagstaff, only now the lyrics were different.
They were about a girl with a sketchbook, a delayed train, and falling in love between stations. When he sang the last line, "Maybe home isn't a place. Maybe it's the person who makes the journey worth it," the small crowd erupted. Emma had tears in her eyes. After the set, Noah found her near the back. Snow melted in his hair as he pulled her into his arms. "So, what do you think of the ending?" he asked, voice low. She smiled up at him, the city lights of Chicago sparkling behind them. "I think it's just the beginning." They spent Christmas Day together, walking along the frozen lakefront, sharing deep dish pizza, and talking about what came next. Emma decided to stay in Chicago for a while. Noah promised to visit her family in the suburbs after the holidays. 2 years later, they took that same Amtrak route back to Los Angeles for their wedding. This time, the train wasn't delayed, and the song he wrote for her that night became their first dance. Some love stories don't start with fireworks. Sometimes they start with a delayed train, a shared bench, and two scared hearts brave enough to say yes to the journey.